We're continuing with the book by Temple Hayes, which is available on the side table for $9, How to Speak Unity, and this is part 7. And we're only about halfway through, so it's turning out to be a long series. And as you know, the topics are just listed alphabetically, the words that we use in Unity that she wants us to understand. And so our words today, I've put together namaste and omnipresence, and then nature, and then I put together new age and new thought, and then omnipotence and omniscience. So we frequently use this word namaste, and I put the pronunciation up there because I have a tendency to say it wrong. The accent is on the first syllable. It is namaste. And I have been told that it says that it means the God within me meets and recognizes the God within you. But actually, the correct, accurate translation is just I bow to you. But why would I bow to you? Because I see the divine in you. And only the Christ beholds the Christ. If you are seeing the divinity in someone else, then that's the divinity in you doing that. So the interpretation of the God within me meets and recognizes the God within you really does give the full meaning of the act. And you've also heard namaskar. Namaskar is the word to describe the action of saying namaste. So it's not actually anything you'll find in the Bible. It's not anything that Jesus ever said, but it reflects the spirit of what we believe. And so we've just adopted it. And to say, I behold the Christ in you, is also to affirm our unity in God, which brings us to omnipresence. This is an interesting artwork about omnipresence, because how do you really picture it? How do you picture omnipresence? Here's a cartoon about it. God's map of the universe. And of course, you hear phrases and sentences that try to put it succinctly. The all-good God is everywhere present, or there is no spot where God is not. God is a circle whose radius is infinite and whose center is everywhere. It's kind of mind-bending. Or just simply, it's all God. I don't know how I haven't read about this or asked other people about it, but for me, I can only conceptualize a number up to 6. I only have a picture of it. Once you get past 6, then I have to start counting, or breaking it up into parts or something. It's like 1,000,000. I know what 1,000,000 is, but then on the other hand, I really can't picture it. I don't have an image or a real grasp of it. I know what it is. I know what 1/4 is, and I know, that it's 1,000,000, and I know all of that. But it's like infinity. I kind of know the definition, but on the other hand, I really can't grasp it. And it's the same with the omnipresence of God. We can talk about it, we can conceptualize it, but it has to be more of a feeling. And this is really kind of the genius of the book, that Temple Hayes has put out, every topic is only a page or two. If you noticed, if you're reading it, every topic is only a page or two. Because she doesn't try to get into a full explanation of any of these words. She just gets down to the nitty-gritty of what does it mean to you personally. So in unity, the most common way we phrase this is there is only one power and one presence. And it means on the personal level that God is in you, God is in me, God is in us, God is in everything, all is God, and we are one. That's what it means for us on the personal level. And just one more way to kind of look at it. What if the opposite were true? What if there could be a place where God was not? What if there could be a person who there was no God in that person? That really would be impossible, wouldn't it? That would, you can't really make that work. So we are conscious that because God is everywhere, God is in me, God is in you, God is in us, and we are one. And God is in nature. That's the next word that she talks about. And it's important for us when we are in nature to let nature speak to us of this omnipresence of God. We are so lucky to be in Florida, where nature is almost always available. I mean, even if it's raining, you know, you could be like a little kid and go out in the rain. Just enjoy it. But it's wonderful that we have all of this times in the year when we can go out and enjoy it. This particular picture is actually of the nature path at Unity Village. You know, Unity Village up in Missouri is, it's about 2 square miles. But only about 20% of that has buildings on it. Administration and conference center and some historic buildings from the beginnings of Unity. But the rest of it is all open and beautiful. And they have a long, I think it's over 2 miles long, nature path. And this is part of the nature path where you have a little bridge going over a little creek up there. Because from the very beginning, Unity people would gather together outdoors and enjoy nature together. They were big on picnics. So then she moves on from to the inns, the New Age and New Thought. The New Age movement is about 60 years old. And it's any spiritual philosophy or methodology that is not part of an established religion. And some of the things that are popular in the New Age movement include things like channeling and astrology and crystals. And here I want to confess to you that I really regret that I have been, if you've been with me for any period of time, I have been kind of thumbs down on New Age. Because I tried to tell people, don't give your power away. Don't give your power away to crystals or to a chart, a numerology or astrology chart. You need to go within to get your guidance. But I found an article that I think is in keeping with what Temple Hayes is saying about the New Age. So I found this article that is very complimentary. It's like if the New Age movement could speak for itself, what would it say? Well, first of all, the New Age presents us with a new language. The religious metaphors of the Judeo-Christian tradition developed in a patriarchal society and show the limitations of that particular experience. For instance, God is always referred to as a he. The Father God metaphor, while suggesting paternal care, also evokes absolute power, patriarchal authority, harsh punishment, and other related ideas, which are now considered controversial. The New Age movement, by searching for inspiration in the many religious traditions of the world, especially in mysticism, opens up a new field of religious metaphors which may help us to more meaningfully reimagine God for contemporary humanity. Second, the New Age movement presents us with a new understanding of spiritual life. Western Christianity strongly emphasized its institutional character. Humanity's relationship with God was regulated by the authoritative mediation of doctrines, laws, rituals, and sacred ministers. To believe was to know and obey. As an example, about 60 years ago, the Catholic Church changed the traditional Mass said in Latin to the vernacular. I remember that. So that lay people who did not know Latin could understand the prayers in their own language. But a lot of Catholics really prefer the Mass in Latin, even those who are too young to remember when that was the norm. This surprised me. But it is apparently a thing. And the church did allow a few exceptions so that a Latin Mass could be attended by those who preferred it in a few designated places, like chapels or school campuses. So there's a movement among young Catholics who were born after the Latin Mass had been kicked out, who prefer the Latin Mass. In other words, they don't want to know what the words mean. They want to be in a sacred space. You know, I totally get that. Anyway, so just this week I was on YouTube and I saw a video that was posted only 10 days ago and has already gotten over 100,000 views. And it was all about discussing the fact that a bishop had forbidden the use of the Latin Mass at a Catholic school. It's big news. This is the very kind of authoritarianism that is very off-putting to the New Agers. They are searching for a direct experience of the divine. They believe that the answers to all the great questions of existence lie within, in the inner depths. To find them is the purpose of life. So now I'm going to share with you, I think I put that in the wrong place. Well, I may have put it in the wrong place, but I'm going to share it now anyway. Okay, as you all know, once upon a time, many, many years ago, I was a Catholic sister. And I was happy, but due to circumstances beyond my control, I had to leave. Family situation. So when I left, I started palling around with someone who took me to presentations by Scientology. Now, Scientology has a lot of free stuff for, people who aren't familiar with it. But if you want to really get into it, if you want to go all the way to what they call being clear, in those days, and then we're talking a very long time ago, it was $10,000, and you had to go to California to take the advanced classes and work, devote your time to the Scientology movement and pay the $10,000 and go through all their training. But the end result would be that you would become a clear. So a clear came to visit the Scientology church in Miami, where I was living. So I attended the presentation where the clear was there. Ooh. And then a wealthy person in the group invited everyone to his, I think the clear was staying in this wealthy person's home while he was here. So everybody was invited to go to this. It was a very nice house, and we went, my friend and I went, and they have, of course, a nice big living room, but there were so many people there that every seat was filled. People were sitting on the floor, and the clear, I remember, was standing like in front of the fireplace, and people were listening to the clear. Now, I think this is Tom Cruise. Yes. Yeah, he's big inside, and so is John Travolta. There are some big names in Scientology. But Tom Cruise is a clear. So when we got there, all the seats, of course, were taken, and the clear was talking and answering questions, standing, and everybody was just enthralled. I looked around the room, and everybody was just, they were just enraptured, and I had this insight. It just hit me so hard. I looked at them and I said, oh no, never again. I will never give the care of my soul to an organization. Doesn't matter what it is. And that was the last time I ever went to anything in Scientology. Now, I'm not, you can classify Scientology as a New Age movement, but every movement and every religion has a dark side. The Catholic Church has the pedophile priests. The Protestant churches have Jim Jones and the Branch Davidians, and, the Muslims have the terrorists. So every group of every kind, every movement has a dark side. And I think that Scientology is part of that dark side. I think it's a cult. But this story that I shared with you really isn't about that. It's about the fact that the New Age reflects this desire to have a genuine spiritual life that does not depend on any kind of organization. So, let me go, where am I now? Okay. The third, the new spiritual practices many Christians often fail to put into practice the virtues of love, compassion, and peace. Eastern spiritual exercises, meditation, yoga disciplines, mantras, breathing exercises, concentration, mindfulness, they seem to offer concrete means to arrive at a greater quality of spiritual life and consciousness. The fourth thing about the New Age movement is an appreciation of all religions. We live in a global world which challenges us to reevaluate the Christian exclusivism of the past. We are becoming more aware that different cultures and religious traditions contain their unique wisdom and spiritual genius. New Age thinkers hold that all religions and their adherents are worthy of respect and appreciation. Another aspect of the New Age is lay spirituality. The Catholic traditions reserved the higher form of spirituality for its professionals, the priests and the religious. To be lay was to be spiritually inferior at best, a second-class way towards holiness. In New Age spirituality, no state of life is intrinsically holier than any other. Ordinary people are invited to spiritual growth within their daily lives. And sixth, spiritual mentorship. The tradition of a spiritual teacher who gives personal spiritual guidance over an extended period has never fully developed within the Christian tradition. The New Age movement offers teachers to the many people searching for interiority and higher consciousness. So here, going clockwise, beginning with the upper left, we have Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the Four Agreements. We have Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who founded the Art of Living Foundation. Of course, Eckhart Tolle, the Dalai Lama, Marianne Williamson, and Deepak Chopra as an examples. And I'm sure many of you have read or seen presentations by probably more than one of these spiritual teachers. So the New Age, in the words of Temple Hayes, offers forms of wisdom which lend an additional perspective or give more information about life and tools for healing, expressing opinions, or to use as a reference map or guidance. No one has the truth for ourselves except ourselves, the divine wisdom within us. So, people in the New Age movement will feel at home in New Thought. And this is why so many unity churches have events or have classes that are very New Agey. Not so much here, because I have a different focus. But the reason they do that is that so that people who are more familiar with the New Age type of mentality will be attracted and will discover us. Now, New Thought is actually about 100 years older than the New Age, which the New Age started in the 60s. But New Thought is very much a global spirituality way of spiritual life. And we want to find that thread that goes through all of the different major religions. You won't see it so much, I would say, at the ground level, where if you go to a gathering of a totally different religious group, say in a foreign country, what they are doing won't make any sense to you, just by just walking through the door, you know. But when you study the mysticism of the great religions, you will find that they are all very much the same. So I'm imagining that Jesus and the Buddha and Moses and Nanak and Lao Tzu could all sit together and have a glass of wine, and there would be no conflict. So that is the way we look at things. And the most beautiful way I've heard it put is, unity is not the only way, but it is a beautiful way. The next word in the book is omnipotence. So we know that nothing's impossible with God. God can do all things. But it's important to remember that this omnipotence is in conjunction with, not separated from, omnipresence. So the power of God, the omnipotence of God, is everywhere. And we are floating in that. We are surrounded by the omnipotence of God. So we're trying to learn to let go and let God be God in you. So bringing it down, as Temple Hayes always tries to do, to the personal level. Here I am, and I have an issue, I have a problem, I have a challenge. And I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, oh God, please fix this. Please make this go away. Please make this all iron out. And we kind of wish that God would just do that for us. But what God actually does is God gives you a magic wand to wave over that problem. And so remember that we're all in divine mind. The omnipotence of God is everywhere, all around us and within us. And that magic wand is in your mind. The human mind is the magic wand that will cause the power of God to manifest. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote the book, Your Word is Your Wand. It's a very simple, very popular, old-time unity book. I highly recommend it. Your Word is Your Wand by Florence Scovel Shinn. So what this means is, it's like one of our basic principles. Through prayer and meditation, we are united with the mind and heart of God. So when you do that, that power becomes available to you. And the problem can be solved. We manifest a resolution to the problem or the challenge. And remember that God is love. So it's not just raw power. It's a loving power. And the resolution is going to be for the benefit of all. But here is the catch. If you are going to use your mind to channel the power of God, you will be changed. You will be changed. It's like if someone is has grasped raw electricity, and you take their hand, that electricity is going to channel through both of you. You're going to be changed. In that case, for the worse. When we manifest our good, when we allow ourselves to be the channel for divine power, that has to go through your mind. It is because you have to make the decision. You have to decide to hook up. And when you do, you're going to be changed. If you're not willing to be changed, the power is not going to go through. That's why we say let go and let God. And the way Eric Butterworth put it, and which has become so popular, let go and let God be God in you. So we stop telling, this is the way Temple put it, we stop telling God how big our problems are and begin telling our problems how big God is. Very nicely put, very nice. So that leads us into omniscience. God mind is all and knows all. She says, we can look at any situation or circumstance and declare there is an intelligence in the universe, God the omniscient, who knows the way and the means for this situation to result in a wonderful outcome. We know without hesitation or lack of faith that God knows all, and we let this knowledge flow through us. We are listening, God. So this image on the left I've shown many times of the Big Bang, the evolution of the universe. And then the second image is just a different artistic rendering of the evolution of the universe as a spiral. But remember that the Big Bang, like any explosion, went out in every direction. So actually, the universe has always been a sphere, starting out very small and now incomprehensibly large. So when we say God knows everything, we don't mean that God is objectively looking at everything in the universe. See, that's what I used to think, that God knows everything, that God was like the CIA, with hidden cameras everywhere. That, your computer has a little dot in the center up here that is the camera. Well, if you do Zooming, how many of you have done Zooming, or at least tried to do Zooming, or FaceTiming? Yeah, that's because you have a little camera there. Now, they sell little clips that you can put on the top so that the camera doesn't work. Why? We don't trust those cameras. We don't want Big Brother looking at us. Or some people are concerned about that. But we don't mean that God is objectively looking at everything. God is seeing subjectively. God doesn't see things from a distance. God sees things because God is in them and doing them. In the case of a plant, God is the layers in the leaf, the veins in the leaf. God is doing the molecules in the leaf. God is doing the atoms in the molecules, the electrons, the neutrons. In other words, in the case of a dance performance, the audience is objectifying what they see. They are seeing objects, the people who are dancing. But for the dancers, it's subjective for them. They are experiencing the dance because they are doing the dance. So in my office, I have a statue of the dancing Shiva, because to me it says that the universe is a dance that God is doing. The universe is the dance that God is doing. And that is how God knows everything, because God is everything, is directly involved, is holding every wave of light and every bit of energy and all of the vibrations and all of the frequencies, and every different way we try to imagine it is what God is doing. And that is the type of knowledge that God has. So I end all of